Yeah, I'm Micah. I wrote a book and self-published it, and it did pretty well on Amazon. Bam, I'll put it right there. I also publish a anthology every year, a horror anthology with a bunch of awesome authors, and it does really well, and it's all for charity. And now I help other people publish books, new authors getting into the self-publishing sphere. I help them do that, and every Friday I get to kick it with my girl and talk about all the awesome things. I like long walks on the beach, and I am 25 years old. Okay. Your turn. Go. We got
Okay.
2 minutes for an intro.
Okay. Chelsea here. I write books. I like to write dark epic fantasy. I show up on a couple of the anthologies Micah has done. Hopefully this year again. Let's just be honest. I have written The Blood of the Lion, The Mark of the Dam, The Dance of Destiny. Now, The Scars of the Wicked is coming out here. I am just pointing, hoping that it all works out. So, that being said, I've done a few short stories. I have written a dark kids book that is, I'm not sure if it's kids friendly, let's be honest.
Oh, it's great. It's very kids friendly.
Yeah.
Very kids friendly.
And I am a coffee addict and will find any way to drink my coffee. And I like music. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to start the episode by reading an article. It's all over the news, but this one kind of sums it up. And then I want to get y'all's thoughts on it. I want to get everybody who's watching, I want to get their thoughts on it. Let's discuss. Let me read you this article. Best-selling romance author Ali Hazelwood, known for her debut novel The Love Hypothesis, has deactivated her Instagram account following a wave of online harassment and bullying, all triggered by a lighthearted comment she made about a fictional character from the Hunger Games. During a recent panel, Hazelwood said she was Team Gale and called PETA kind of useless. The comment quickly spread on Reddit, where some users took offense. Soon after, her Instagram page, which had around 600,000 followers, was flooded with angry comments and messages, bullying. Hazelwood's account was later deactivated, 600,000 followers deactivated, which led to many people believing that she was bullied off the platform. However, author Susan Lee posted on Threads that Hazelwood is fine. She didn't know how to turn off the comments. She obviously didn't want to see all the hate and the bullying. She's technically inept and didn't know how to disable the comments. So she did the only thing she knew how to do, which was delete Instagram, delete her account. Lee added that Hazelwood is fine. She's at home, working on her deadline, and spending time with her pets. The incident sparked debate on how extreme online reactions have become. Imagine bullying Hazelwood off socials for an opinion about a fictional character, right? Are you people okay? Who gives a F? Hating on Hazelwood for having a different opinion seems excessive. Grow up. Hazelwood, the author of Love Hypothesis, is well known for supporting women in STEM and supporting small and marginalized authors. Many fans on different social media platforms expressed disappointment that someone who has done so much for the book community was targeted over a joke. So that's how I want to start. I want to start because Chelsea and I have railed on this ad nauseum, but it's right here in our face now. Is bullying just the new way of things, right? Is that where we're at? Is where we can just decide that because this person, and this is such an extreme case because this is an opinion on a fictional character, and it was a joke. And this person who is a bestseller, 600,000 followers, she felt that she had no other recourse than to cancel that account because of how much bullying she had. And as the article stated, she is known for her work with other authors and with helping other people in marginalized spaces. Thoughts? Let's go. Give it to me.
The first thing I wanted to say, and we can beep this, but this is literally what I said all week at random. My words were, "What the is wrong with the world?"
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about it. We've seen it. We bring this stuff up. We've done it in the past. We had Erin Lee on, who, yes, is she a likable person? maybe not. Maybe some people don't get along with her. Maybe most people wouldn't get along with her. She's fine with that. Does she deserve to get bullied?
No.
That's my question. Is bullying ever okay? Because at the end of the article, the writer of the article said that someone like Allie, who has given all this and blah blah blah, got bullied, and that was kind of a point of contention. Yes, I agree, but does that mean that other people are allowed to get bullied, or is it okay for other people to get bullied? Someone like Aaron, who maybe is not likable. The answer is 100% equivocally, absolutely zero. No, it's
No.
not okay. Bullying is not okay. It devastates people. But now we can look at the repercussions of that on a bigger level. If you had 600,000 followers and you're a best-selling author, canceling that platform, and you did it because you felt like because you couldn't handle the hate and the bullying that people are throwing at you. It's a huge deal, y'all. I mean, it's a big thing, and I just gosh, I can't get over it, because I even from as a kid, man, I remember punching a kid when I was like, I don't know, 8 years old, because he was pulling on another kid's hair and just wouldn't stop. The kid was crying. It pissed me off so much. So I've always hated bullies. In high school, I was in bands, playing out every night, and so like I wasn't like a jock, right? I wasn't that kind of thing, but I was in a cool clique, right? I was in a cool clique, and everybody in my band and in my group was like, "Oh, that person's doesn't have anybody to hang with. Yeah, maybe they stink. Yeah, maybe they don't. Maybe they're not pretty. Whatever. Come with us. You can hang with us. We'll protect you." I've always hated bullying. So let's talk, y'all.
It's so interesting you say that, because, and I'm gonna let Brian speak, because I want to hear your thoughts. But I was going to bring up the scale of this bullying against Allie, because I was going to use school as well. Like, I was the same way in school. Like, I got the nickname Chelsifer from that. Like, I didn't let people bully. I was a bulldog,
Yeah.
and like, I saw anybody get like targeted by these kids that thought they could get away with that, I was in their face. Like, woo, I should have been suspended a couple of times.
Sure.
And I don't know how I wasn't. Like, to be honest, like, some of the things I did in front of teachers, I was stunned. So yeah, I was the same person, like, watching a girl in a clique bully this young girl on a school bus, putting gum in her hair, and I'm like in their face, telling them to F off and back up,
Yeah.
like, or I'm gonna freaking throw, dude.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like that was
on, bro.
like, if I was the kid, everybody was like, "Oh, she's so quiet and she's funny." And then the moment like the bully started, they're like, "Get out of her effing way. The bulldog has arrived." Like,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you were the most popular kid in school. I don't care if you were 6'6", because there were jocks that I would stand up against, because I'm 5'4", like 115 pounds at the time. There's a 6'6" jock who thinks he's freaking, the next best thing, and I'd be like up in his face. I'd be like, "You do that in front of me one more time, I'm gonna kick your effing ass."
Yeah.
So that being said, bullying is a very hot topic for me. Like, I get really triggered by it. Like, and so to see this thing happen with this author, it disgusts me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you don't realize one thing. At a young age, when you're that malleable and impressionable, bullying can have a lifelong impact. We know that. We've proven that. Statistical studies have proven that. Now, let's escalate that into a 600,000 follower platform where this author thought she was in a safe space and could share a fun opinion about a fictional character, people.
Right.
That's like saying, "I like this cup over this cup." And people attacking her over it, thinking they have the right to tell her how to feel and what to think.
Well, and not
and
only
to
tell her how to feel and what to think, but then berate her and bully her and and
yeah,
be mean to her. I hate using that word mean because it sounds so childish, but
this is the definition of mean, though.
right,
Like,
they were being mean.
yeah,
And like you said, as children, when you're bullied, yes, your mind is so malleable, and yes, that can affect you. But I don't think we then look at adults and just say, "Us, sticks and stones." Right?
it's not.
Right. It's not.
This is like this will impact her the rest of her life. Like, I want people to understand that. Like, she is a human being with human emotions. She is, you know, she wants to connect on a human level, which is why she engages with the community. And instead of having a fun conversation like Team Edward and Team Jacob, I don't see anybody being bullied for that one
Right.
yet.
Right.
Don't come for me.
It could happen.
But exactly, Team Carlisle, come for me.
Right.
But
wait, are we still on? Because I've never read Hunger Games, so
No, this is
Twilight. This is Twilight.
Or Twilight. I've never read either one. I think here's an opinion. I think they both suck. But you know.
Oh my god! But that's the thing. Like, she shared with the community, and instead of having a fun conversation, the people went nuts on her. Like, everybody needs to take a chill pill, sit back, and as I've seen many comments say, touch the grass.
Well,
and
I think
go outside.
We've said this before, like with Aaron. Aaron got railed for telling people to take a chill pill. Again, Aaron was sandpaper. She doesn't relate well with people. She speaks her mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But she still doesn't deserve to be bullied, right? For people to be mean to her.
No.
That's what I don't understand is where did we actually just stop? I'm going ahead. Brian, you have any? Please.
So I've got a few things on this.
Okay.
My first question, though, before I start my ramblings, is Chelsea is obviously a different generation than you and I are, Micah.
Right.
So my question to Chelsea is, was your bullying at the time that you were in school, was it similar to how it is now with everybody had social media and could start blasting people, or was it still in that infancy of social media?
It was still infancy of social media, but a lot of it happened at school. Yeah.
Okay. So I
didn't have social media at the time.
And you experienced what we would have experienced to some degree. So my issue with bullying is it is not okay in any form or function, regardless of whether you're just trying to be funny in front of people or what. The charity group that I'm a part of, we do an anti-bullying event. I mean, it's big for all of us because most of us, big surprise, are giant nerds.
Yeah.
We were picked on in school. We were the outcasts. You know, a lot of how I am today is because of what I went through as a kid. So I don't agree with bullying in the slightest. That being said, there are people that take these worlds, whether it's in their books or their movies or their TV shows, and they get so wrapped up in it that they can't experience what somebody else is experiencing because they can only see it the way they see it. So a lot of times I have a really good friend of mine who is also part of the cosplay community. He will constantly post things that will say something to the effect of, you didn't like Man of Steel? Shut up. Be thankful that they created the movie so that we can at least have something from the comic world. And that's what it is. You don't like what somebody's opinion is. You could say, I don't agree with you. That's fine. Yeah. Or just don't say anything at all.
And you can even have a dialogue back and forth. I love dialogue. Dialogue is great.
Unfortunately, the problem in today's society is we want to go on blast.
Right.
We don't, just like you guys said on last week's episode, there's no information given. It's a tantalizing, I gotta find out what this is, to get people riled up, to then get them to make comments on a post so that post builds up in traction, which when it breaks down to it, it's probably all for numbers.
Yep.
Not to mention these are the what do they call the keyboard
warrior?
Yeah, those people who are just sitting there waiting to light up on somebody.
Right.
Guess what? If you're on a keyboard and you have all that time to light up on people, maybe you should take a deep step back and look in on yourself before you start blasting other people for things that they like or that they enjoy. Right. Now, she said that she chose one over the other. Great. Good for her. I like her opinion. Might not be my opinion, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. So I don't know. Bullying to me has always bothered me. I got picked on quite a bit in school, mainly in elementary and middle school. High school is when I started to figure out who I was and started standing up for myself. And it was then that I would help people who maybe were a little too shy and didn't want to stand up for themselves. I didn't get into many fights, and the fights I did get into, we ended up becoming friends because that's what guys do. You know?
Right.
You know, I mean,
Brian and I hated each other before we became friends.
Yeah.
We were in so many fights. Yeah.
You should have seen it. He tried to shove my head in a toilet once.
Yep, I did. But but some dude was sitting there pooping on it, so his head wouldn't fit. It was a whole awkward situation. It was real weird. But we became friends afterwards.
And we still had to tip the valet that was in the bathroom when we left.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's tough.
It was but we came out stronger for it.
That was a bonding moment then.
It was great. It was great. I love you too, bro. There's a word I was trying to look it up. It's a word I just learned maybe a week ago, but it's a word for someone who just wakes up to the fact that other people do not see the world like they see it. I can't. It's a singular word, and I wish I could remember it. I'm gonna have to go look it up later. I was trying to look it up now, but I can't remember it. But it was such a great word, because that's what we're dealing with a bunch of people who think that the world is how they see it, mm-hmm. right? And we know the world is so big and we are so small. How can you possibly think that this tiny little bit of this giant system is how everyone else sees it? Right. And even if you think that, I love what you said, Brian, and that's where we've lost it. That's where we've lost so much of humanity, is no one can step out of that. No one can step out of that and look at the bigger picture. We're all laser focused on ourselves and our own thoughts and our own opinions. And now in the last 10 years or so, the way politics have manipulated the thoughts of people, the tribalism between, this or that tribalism has leaked over into every aspect of life. And there's such division, and there shouldn't be that division. We should be able to have differing opinions and again, with Allie, it's opinions on fiction. It's opinions on something, right? It's opinions on something that doesn't exist. Now, I am one who thinks that even things that do exist, we should have differing opinions on. We should be able to dialogue, and that be that. There should be no war between fellows at this level. There's no reason for it, but there is in every aspect, because of this division, because of this tribalism that has leaked over into every aspect of people's lives. People now believe that they have to be this. They have to be this. And if you're not this, you're the enemy.
Yeah.
It's no longer, if you're not this, cool.
It's really interesting you say that. And so it's kind of, I'm going to try to wrap in this kind of the same example I was just watching yesterday. When I do my elliptical in the morning, I usually put like a documentary on or a movie on or something like that. And I had a documentary going for AI. And it was a very short video, or very short documentary. And it was talking about how people as a whole can very quickly succumb to this idea that it's inevitable. And you're getting into a situation and you can't turn back, so might as well just keep going. And so that becomes the path that we take, where we think, well, because it's inevitable, I'm just going to keep doing it and I'm going to make it worse. And I'm just going to throw my hands up, or maybe I'm going to add fuel to that fire, or I'm going to war about it, because the result will be the same. And that's, so in the documentary, they were talking about how you have two paths where it's chaos and dystopian, right? It was talking about AI, but as a whole in humanity, that is where we think we're going. It's either chaos or dystopian. But the mindset is, it's not that it's not inevitable. I cannot say that word today, but
I'll cut it in. I'll get a, yeah, I'll
just get like a dude that talks like
inevitable.
yeah, it's like just say it, so that
Yeah,
way it's
yeah.
like it just like lines up.
Yeah.
But it's that in between all that chaos and dystopian, and that this idea that the result, no matter what we do, is the same. It's the mindset, and taking a step back and realizing we as people can change that based on how we think about the problem. And we can go, you know what? It's not that it's going to happen. It's that it is an option, but we can make a difference.
Yeah.
And it's not that, instead of saying it's inevitable, now I really can't say
Yep.
it.
Yep.
It's that, you use the word, I can make a difference. And so, and in between that, in those paths, you find that narrow path where you can remember who we are as people. And so, again, a little bit of a different example, but this is what I was thinking about, because on a whole scale, I remember when Hunger Games came out and they were talking about Team Gale and Team PETA. That was a thing.
Sure.
And it was very common. And a lot of us, myself included, were Team Gale all the way. And that was because Gale was, let's be honest, he was a lot more put together, and PETA, bless his character, was kind of a drag half the time and very helpless. And with Katniss, it was just, you're like, bro, are you saving a lost puppy? Like, what's happening here? Like, and Gale was very strong, and so a lot of people went Team Gale.
Sure.
So that being said, I remember having these discussions and having fun about it and laughing about it. And I mean, it was the same as the Team Edward, Team Jacob, Team Carlisle. And it was very fun. But as humanity has, in this last 10 to 15 years, we've really lost touch with ourselves, with this idea that we can't have open and fun conversations anymore, or share these opinions, like you were saying, Micah, and just have that dialogue. And we are kind of we are stepping toward this dystopian type mindset where it's only one way or the highway. And we're forgetting that it's not in because it's going to happen. It's because we are allowing it to happen,
Right.
instead of taking
we're pushing it forward.
and yeah, instead of taking that step and taking that mindset and going, there's a narrow path in between this chaos and dystopian, and we can take time and really reflect on our decisions as people and who we are as humanity, and try to apply that to something beautiful. And because they even said, I mean, the example was the same with the ozone layer, the hole that opened up, that people thought it's irreversible.
Right.
And guess what we did? Instead of saying it's not irreversible, it's dystopian chaos, let's freak out, people took time to get together and figure out a solution. The same with genetic modification. People thought that was going to be the end of times. Like, we were going to have freaking four-legged people rocking around. Like, it was, but we got together and we did some really incredible things with that. And the same holds true to just us as people. Like, we think because we are acting certain ways that we can't just take a step back and be like, we can't take a step back, like we're not allowed to, and reflect and change as a whole, when we can and we should. And so, yeah, this bullying thing, to see the transition from the time when I was talking about Team Gale and Team PETA to now, you can't even say Team Gale without being bullied off the internet.
Right.
I gotta say, like, what the F is wrong with you all? Like,
Yeah.
take a step back, dude. We're pushing this, we're driving it. We need to encourage opinions. Like, wow.
If I can remember my question, I'm gonna bring it up after this. But Brian, did you want to hit anything on that before we continue?
So I feel like Chelsea has a very good point there, and you can apply that to anything.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does not matter what it is. Books, people's choices in how they live or what they do, doesn't matter. We as humans have, probably over the last 10 years, slowly separated ourselves from engaging and learning about our next door neighbor versus just, oh, let me sit on this device all day and blast somebody because they don't think the way I think.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we all have our own minds. We all have our own thoughts. It's knowing how to respectfully have a conversation with somebody where it's not getting heated, there's not yelling, but it's as Micah said, a discussion on, oh, well, why do you feel this way? Explain it to me. And since we're talking about these fictional characters again, please, let's have a discussion about why you think this fictional character is better than this fictional character, because I would like to know. Because
I mean, if anything, shouldn't that be fun?
yes,
Yeah.
Right. Why did something fun get taken to this extreme?
yeah.
That blows my mind. So here's my question. Let me see if I can remember it. Is it because we are choosing to just, as Chelsea said, just give up and just let this this chaos or this destruction come? Or is it something that we have developed? Because you can definitely see it over the last 10, 15 years. Is it something that we've developed? And if so, can we be trained out of it? Because when Brian and I grew up, and Chelsea, I'm assuming probably even when you grew up, because there was no social media at the time, you just didn't see this. Yeah, and, you know, and some people can say, well, because we weren't connected, so you didn't see it. Well, correct, we weren't connected, but since everyone is connected, they're much further apart.
Mhm.
Okay, because when Brian and I grew up, when you hung out, you'd hang out with 30. You'd hang out with 30 people of all different races, orientations, likes, dislikes. There would be 30 people in a parking lot just hanging out, right? Smoking, skating, whatever, right? There could be 150 people there. We didn't see it. So yes, we weren't connected via social media or internet, but we were connected with humanity.
Yep.
Okay. So now we're uber connected with internet and social media, but where's the humanity connection?
Nowhere to be
Right.
found.
That's my question. So it's obviously something that we have learned, we have developed. Is there a way to unlearn that, undevelop? And yes, there is, but it takes effort and it takes a conscious, intentional decision to do so. Do we believe that conscious, intentional decision can or will be made? Or are we doomed, like Chelsea said? That's
Well, if we find that narrow path.
right. So that's my question off of where Chelsea went.
So go ahead, Chelsea.
No, Brian, I will go off on a tangent. So
Okay,
you go first.
So that path that Chelsea is talking about, that's a very thin line between utopia and dystopian. I am all for a good dystopian book.
Sure.
Love them to death. As far as my real world experience, I would prefer utopia. Right. That being said, you hit the nail right on the head, Micah. We didn't have all this vast information at our fingertips when we were kids, but we were still very much connected, because even though I went to a different school than most of the people I hung out with, I knew most of the people that they went to school with.
Right.
Just because we communicated.
Right.
And, I would go, let me get my grandpa hat on.
Right.
Back in my day, we would go to an ice skating rink.
Yeah.
On a Friday or Saturday night. There was at least 5 schools that would go to this ice skating rink.
Right.
Okay, great. You'd hang out. You'd meet people from other schools, find out your likes, your dislikes. Oh, hey, this kid skates just like I do. Awesome. Dude, have you listened to this band? No. Oh, cool. Because, back then you had to go to the store and flip through everything to find new music. Right. And then Hot Topic came around and gave us those music walls where we could listen.
Right. Which, now, I mean, can you remember your thought?
Yes.
If I sidetrack? Okay. You just said music walls. Man, I rewatched Empire Records the other day.
So good.
It just brought me back, man. I was in heaven for like an hour and a half. Hey, Chelsea, have you seen Empire Records?
I have not.
Your homework for this weekend. Put it on.
You must.
Okay.
It is one of my favorites of all times. Yes, there is nostalgia there, but it's just so good. It's basically the story of 10 kids working in a record shop.
Oh my gosh.
It's just
movies.
It's
like
perfect.
there's an era of movies that is just nobody can touch.
Yeah,
like
this is one of them.
Yeah.
And you know what? It defines a certain period in time of the mid to late 90s.
Yeah, my period.
It just captures it so well.
Yeah. Like everything they do, you're like, I did that. I was that.
Yeah.
Every single thing in the movie is what we did. Brian as well. I'm sure we're very close, right? We're right there. Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
everything in that movie.
It's funny because we didn't have a standalone record shop. We went to the mall for our record shop, unlike Empire Records. But we would spend, I don't know, Micah, did you have a Suncoast Video?
We had Suncoast, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'd go to FYE, we'd go to Suncoast, and we'd hang out in the food court. And that's what you would do. Then you would go outside, skate on the walls, get yelled at by the security guards, go back inside, look for more music. I mean, that's what you did on a Friday night. It was very boring.
Yeah,
but
dude.
as a teenager, it was awesome.
I dare you to repeat that word, Brian. I will put your head back in the toilet.
Say that again. What word was that?
Boring.
Oh, no.
It was not boring. It was amazing.
What I'm saying is, for anybody who was not from that generation, they would look back at us and go, you guys sat in a mall and that's what you... Yeah, it seems boring, but we were connecting with people.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
We were around multiple people. We talked to people we never met, you know.
Right.
It's just how it was.
Anybody who thinks that is boring, go watch Empire Records. Go watch Mallrats.
Oh.
Yes, they're just standing around.
That damn kid's on the escalator again.
It was the most amazing time in my life. It's so funny. I think I've said this before, but like the kids up at Best Buy, you know, I'm like the everybody's. They're like, you're like my dad, but cooler. Oh, okay. Well, okay. I'm sorry. Go hug your. Go hug your.
Say that. I'm sure their dad was cool.
Exactly,
because it's their dad.
Right. They don't see it. So when I tell them these stories, they're like, "Oh," I was like, "Dude, your dad has the same stories. He has the same stories, dude. Go hug your dad. Go learn." I mean,
James Hetfield from Metallica. He has said it. His kids think he is so not cool.
Right.
The man is the lead singer of one of the greatest heavy metal bands of our generation.
One of the most influential lead men ever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's not cool. He's
not at all. Not at all.
So anyway, sorry to interrupt, Chelsea. Empire Records.
Yes,
you must. And anybody watching, anybody of Chelsea's generation, younger, whatever. Brian and I are not trying to be, back in our day, but I promise you, the '90s were great. That's beside the point. Empire Records, go watch it. It's
so good.
I will.
So
I will. Done.
Done. But yeah, to that point, we were always engaged.
Right.
We always were around people, and we had that. Now, I do feel that we can, and we already are, pulling ourselves out of this social media, constantly connected, anxiety-fueled environment, because it's not the millennials, it's the Gen Zers, I believe. They are starting to do things that you and I did, Micah.
Right.
MP3 players that do not have internet connectivity, wired headphones.
Right.
They are trying to disconnect because to them it is too overwhelming. Because, I mean, when you think about it, I would say 10 years is probably a good amount of time. The way the internet has exploded from what it was in its infancy when you and I were kids.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I grew up probably learning terminal.
Right.
And data processing, you
right.
know? Funny I say that. I'm watching War Games right now.
Nice.
Green, black screen with a green blinking light.
Yep.
That's what we had. But then we got into AOL.
Right.
Which was nothing more than a page with clickable buttons that would then take you to another page, but it was so inferior to what we have today.
Right.
But now these kids, they just go on and it's like instantaneous. Anything they want, anything they need, they've got it.
Right.
And instant gratification.
It's scary. And I think that is part of the problem with the instant gratification. Mm-hmm. Because people don't have the ability to have that patience for waiting for anything. And if they have to wait, then it's not worth it.
Right.
But it's the opposite.
Correct. Waiting
is worth it.
Right.
No matter what you're doing.
Can we tie that back to bullying? How has that influenced or affected bullying?
I feel that it's probably expended it quite a bit. because, I mean, when we had bullying issues, it was usually with the kids in school that you went to school with.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe somebody you worked with, they didn't get along with you for whatever reason. Okay, cool. But now it could be somebody 3,000 miles away, doesn't like something you said. And that's, now you're on blast. And we've got people that are getting hurt because they do not know how to deal with the bullying that's
Their
coming.
emotions.
No, not the bully. I'm talking
Oh,
about
I thought you were talking about
being the person who's being bullied.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't know
yeah.
how to handle what is being thrown at them. And then they go and do things that you may or may not be able to come back from.
Yeah.
And that is where it's really sad. There's nothing that happens to you that is worth not being able to still keep going.
Right.
You know, it's just, it's very sad. And unfortunately, there's not enough support for some of these younger kids to understand what is being done and how this is just a very small pinpoint in their life.
Correct.
It's that whole,
It's
the old age adage, with age comes wisdom.
It's true.
So that's my TED Talk.
Right.
Welcome to our TED Talk. It's social media has built a lack of accountability. There's, you can say things and then close your screen and you don't have to worry about the consequences. If you were in person, I dare somebody, would a group of people walk up to Allie and say, F you for saying Team Gale? No, I highly doubt it.
Right.
I highly doubt
Right.
the same people that went after her would have the huevos to walk out and walk to her house in person and say, F you for saying Team Gale and all this and that.
Well,
and that's
again,
where it's like there's a lack of accountability on the social media, on that screen side,
Well,
because we're losing that physical connection.
correct. We're losing the physical. No, we're not losing. We have lost.
We've lost. Yeah.
That's what goes back to being connected to humanity
Yeah.
versus being connected through this.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a firm believer. So something, and this will kind of might derail just a little bit, but I'm a firm believer that physical connection is what humanity is built off. And that's what makes us human. Because, so as an example, I mean, all my jobs were obviously in service industry until I got into corporate. And when I got into corporate, my first job was a remote job and it was a contract role. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm big kid now, like, look at me. And I vividly remember in those first few months how isolated I felt. And I had never felt so isolated in my life, going from a service industry type jobs where I'm talking to people, we're standing face to face. It was just this constant, there's so many different sensories that are happening when you're in person with somebody and you're reading somebody, all the analytics and everything. Your brain is on doing what it's supposed to do. And then I get shoved in front of a screen and told to do the same thing. And mind you might be able to sit on a call and have this conversation, with meetings, bosses, whatever. But I remember vividly feeling, despite having so many people I was interacting with, I was more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. And I'm a firm believer that with the explosion of the look how connected we are with the internet and look what we can do with remote work, social media, whatever, with that explosion, we've lost contact with ourselves and what it means to be human, because I think at the core of that, physical connection is what makes us human. Whether it's just standing in the same room with somebody or, walking down the street with somebody, talking to somebody in passing by, looking at a stranger when you're in the store, and making a joke, So I think because of that, and they've already proven studies that, the Gen Z, Gen Alphas that are coming up are the most anxious and depressed generations coming up ever. And they are face first in screens before they can speak. And that says a lot about the detriment and the damage that screen time can do, because you're losing accountability, you're losing the human connection. So these very people that are attacking Allie might be, freaking Jimmy down the street who has zero idea what it means to be human because he's never spent a day in his life having that physical connection and playing, just as you guys were saying, in the parking lot with friends and stuff like that, because he's sitting there on his phone and everything is so real to him there. And so when the moment Allie says Team Gale, Jimmy's like, oh my God, how dare you attack my culture? And it's a slippery slope. So it's very interesting to see just on a grand scale how unhinged humanity has become, because we just haven't we're derailing so quickly on what it means to be human.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say to that except for very well said.
Oh, yeah. Good. Thank you.
That was well said. It was so well said that I don't have anything to say. That was perfect. Does anyone have anything to add before we maybe move on to another topic? We could go on that all day.
I could stick on that all day too.
Right.
But,
Same. It's a very heated, passionate topic, I think, for all of us, just with our experience with bullying, what it means as a humanity when we're comparing 10 to 15 years ago to now and seeing the digression. You're like, what is happening? When it's just like a crazy mirror reflection moment when you see this happen to somebody like Allie. My last words is directly to Allie is Team Gale all the way. And girl, I will ride or die with you with Team Gale. So
there you go. Let us know, listeners. What do you watchers? What do you think? Give us your thoughts. I'm definitely very curious on that. Yeah, man. F bullies. That's all I got to say on that one.
F bullies. Yep.
F bullies.
That's oof,
yeah.
Gosh,
Chelsea, you did a cover reveal.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I did a cover reveal and a character reveal.
Yeah. That was pretty epic. I enjoyed seeing those. Obviously, we've seen them before. I think I bleeped it up on last or not. I popped it up on last episode just for a second so people could see it. But yeah, I'm
so excited. It's kind of surreal to be in this June timeframe and to see the finish line. So like, when we're done with this, I'm going to edit more, and then I will have, if I can get the 2 chapters done, I'll only have 3 chapters left in the standalone, which is to see that light at the end of the tunnel I'm freaking out.
How are your edits going with New Girl? Because I know you used a different editor on that one. How's it going?
I used a different editor. It's been a bit of I think I told Micah, I think I told you, I feel like I'm dating again.
Yeah.
Because I've used the same editor since The Blood of the Lion, and I love him. He will always be the emperor, but he cost, it's an insane amount.
I do have to say that you dropped the artwork right before we came on, like you posted it, and I was just like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Even though we had seen it already, but I was just like, oh, it's so good.
It kind of makes it real, So it's pretty.
She sends it to us, and we're like, oh, this is amazing. But then when it's posted for everyone to see, you're like, she's doing it. She's there.
Yeah.
It is so surreal. I remember talking to Anna, because Anna's the one, she's the illustrator and she's working on Micah's piece right now. But it's like, I remember talking to Anna 3 months ago and scheduling that, because at the time I knew it was going to be $500. And I was like, sorry, everybody, that's the price.
Yeah.
So,
well, no, actually it's more than that, because there's a transfer exchange from USD to euros. So it's actually close to 600. It's $580 for one commission.
Right now, with the currency
you just did the cardinal sin. You did math.
No, I did remembering. Yeah, because I had to. Yeah, because I had to pay money. I had to pay my first down payment last week, and I was expecting $250, so I was going to send Chelsea $250 so she could pay Anna, and the exchange, it was like $288. I was like, son of a.
So you're not going to put math equations over your head for the video?
No, I did simple remembering.
That's the irony in that is so when I paid Anna, the currency was just a little bit lower, so I think it was $275 for me. So it's really fluctuating right now, and that's man, that's the kicker when you're working with somebody overseas, is like, what is the currency exchange going to be? Like, I remember when I bought the Scars of the Wicked cover, and I always do a bundle with my designer, and it was the lowest exchange that I had ever seen. I was like, I saved money. I was so excited. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
And then, I bought the Dragon of Dread Deep, and it was just like, oh, by the way, that's making up for that.
Yeah, it's
'cause
gonna
we're
make
up.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So,
can we take a moment about that cover?
It's epic.
I know it's a standalone, but it is my absolute favorite cover.
I do.
All of them are gorgeous. And when I
Yeah.
line them up on the shelf every once in a while just to see them, they look great. But this new one,
Dude,
I agree.
dude.
It is not only of Chelsea's books, but it's one of the best covers I've seen. I'd have to line up all my pretty hardbacks to see if there's one prettier. Like, it's so perfect.
I think the blue is what does it.
It is. Yeah.
Yep.
The blue.
Yep.
The different shades of blue really pull you to it.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, and again, kudos to her, because I just gave her an idea. I just said, I want a sword sinking with a flag. And I was like, and maybe a compass. Like, good luck, because that's on the back. And I said, that's on you. Like, obviously, we have that working relationship because I've worked with her for years. And I was just like, I fully trust you. You have full creative freedom, and just do your thing, And she just kind of sent me hints here and there. And she's like, there's going to be a crab, and he's going to be shy. There's going to be a turtle. Do you have a name for a turtle? And I was like, what? And so now I literally, so when I finish my edits, I have to get Captain Nibs in there. So because Captain Nibs came after, because of the cover. So I have to go backwards, and I'm going to introduce Captain Nibs into the storyline on a few scenes that I've already made notes for.
Heck yes.
So I was just like, yes, because Captain Nibs obviously has to be a part of the story now. So, because he's on the cover. So I'm like, okay, fine.
That's
Mr.
so
Captain
cool.
Nibs.
That is so cool.
So yeah.
Also, can we talk about the name of the book, The Dragon of Dread Deep? Where did you ever come up with such a spectacular Oh, it was me. Oh, that's right.
Exactly.
Micah's all like,
I mean,
you led into that one. Micah led into that one because he knew what I was gonna say. He was just like,
yeah,
what was that?
I mean, every once in a while you got to stroke that ego. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, so I messaged you.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I speak English, so I think I
Right.
know what you're saying. Adam, that was for you.
Yeah.
So we got to have Adam on here.
Speaking about Adam, it would be fun to have Adam and Brian on at the same time. That would be a blast.
Did you see in the Discord he was talking about how we were going back and forth when we heard about Spaceballs 2?
Yeah.
In memes. We did it in nothing but memes. It was hilarious.
Epic. Dude, Adam is like, I don't know if you've ever had FaceTime with him, but Adam is like one of the coolest dudes, man. You will fall in love with him. He's such a great dude.
He's so funny, dude. Yeah, I think all four of us, it would be the most unhinged. We'd have to just like block out like 2.5 hours and just be like, it's going to be unhinged.
Yeah.
It would be a non-bookish episode, I feel.
Yeah. We could definitely get bookish. We'd probably do like we did today. Start out with the book stuff.
And derail.
If we start out derailed, it will never get back on track.
No. Yeah, no, that was so I messaged Micah because I said I had this crazy idea. I'm like, I've always wanted to do a pirate story. When this was all started, I think it was like January, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of threw some ideas, and then Micah, you were like, yeah, but what if they kind of ring? Like, what if it's the same word? And I was like, I kept wanting dread in there. I was like, something wretched. I was like, I'm like, come on, give me something gritty. And then you were like, well, I think you just sent it to me. You were like, the Dragon of Dread Deep. And I was just like, done.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, and if anybody has read anything of mine thus far, and it's all about the Singing Blade. It's all throughout there. But I love my what are they called?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
My brain
just farted.
Like the repeating.
Altruisms, altruism. I don't know. I can't remember. But I love it. Like, that is my jam. It's like, it's throughout all my writing. I always do it. So
yeah, no, I'm super excited. You should be freaking Brian. I don't even think I told you my next standalone title.
And you sent us the list. Oh no,
I
that
said
was
that was for the
Saga.
saga.
Yeah, no, you haven't.
Should I say it? Should I just say it?
Just freaking say it. I'll put some drum rolls in. Yeah, say it.
Okay, so the next standalone, the title is The Crown of Crimson Carnage. And I'm so excited
Yeah,
about this one. I purposely did that. I wanted to use the same
right.
base that Micah had done because it's going to be another pirate story.
Oh,
And so I purposely, so Crimson Carnage is also the name of a ship. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
it's just like, I'm like, yes, it's so perfect.
that is
Yeah.
good. That is really good.
Oh,
Yeah.
did I
So,
tell you, Chelsea,
what?
that I do have a little bit of steampunk piratey? One of my characters is a captain of a steampunk pirate ship.
You did, like, because the airship, right?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the
yes,
airship.
yes.
Her name is Tam Ma, and
So badass for that. It's a
oh,
perfect name
dude,
for,
it's so good. But did I tell you the name of the ship?
no?
The Lady of No Virtue is the name of her ship. It's so good, dude. It's so
So
good.
badass.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Like once you meet Tam Ma and like see, she's kind of like a Robin Hood, you know.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like all the elites and all the gentry and all that. You know, they fear her. They but all the people, the peasants,
Yes.
they love her. So yeah, she's a really fun character. But the Lady of No
Wow.
Virtue is the name.
That
Of
is,
That is nice.
Yeah, I love it.
I just
So
love
now
that name
you
so
guys have
much.
both made mention of things for how you're doing your title and how you have a name of a ship. Leading up to me coming on today, I was like, I want to make sure that it doesn't focus solely on how last episodes was with me on, where it was very little bookish. So,
Right.
as a person who looks at what you guys are doing, what do you do to come up with some of these titles? Like like Iliadara, how did you come up with this? Because, we've talked about this. I tried to write fantasy. I love fantasy. I have a hard time writing it. So when I'm trying to come up with a name for a horror story, I will sit there for an hour trying to think of just a regular name.
A regular name, right?
How do you guys come up with these names, and do the ideas of like a scene just pop in, or is it little bits here and there that you will write down and then you'll go back to later, and something else happens, you'll write that down, and then you develop that scene? How do you guys do that?
Chelsea, you want to go first, or you want me to?
I literally was going to say you.
I mean, whichever you like. Yeah.
You go first. You go first.
Okay, so as far as names are hard for me because I want them to be, fantastical,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so hard to find fantastical and not sound cliche, right? At this point. So, you go in to read, like I'm rereading the Belgariad right now, which is one of my favorite series. I'm reading that right now. And some of the names that he uses, David Eddings, and this was written back in the 80s, I believe. So many of those names are used in modern, so, and it's like we've talked about before in music, there's 12 keys. There's
Sure.
nothing that you can write that hasn't already been written. You just have to do you when you do it. And so I try to find names that are fantastical, but don't hit too close to anything else. And I try not to use other names as influence, because if I do, you change one letter. It's like, no, don't do that. Be original. But it's so hard to be original when dealing with something that, yeah. So Iliadara, I don't know where that came from. I really don't. I have no clue, but I'm so glad because she's my favorite character in my head for the last 25 years. And it's my favorite name. Like Iliadara, it's pretty. It's different. I haven't seen
It's
much.
haunting.
Yeah, I haven't seen much like it. I wrote a little short poem about her in modern times. So her like in my head, like her spirit throughout the ages and what she would be doing in modern times. And I wrote this little poem. It's in Autumn Tales 3, I think is where I put it. But and then she just came to life. Like, now I know her intimately. And like Ixchel, when I found Ixchel, Ixchel, he's one of the main protagonists. That's just a beautiful. It's a male in my story, but it's a female Jewish name that I heard, and I was just like, that is just Ixchel. That is just beautiful, So yeah. So I just wanted I want the names to be fantastical, but not copies of other things.
Right.
Yeah. And as far as how I do my scenes, we've talked about it before. My outlining style. I'll basically write for an outline. You know, normally somebody's outline might be 2 or 3 pages, 10 pages, whatever, bullet points, beats, things like that. So I'll start with that, but then I will take each beat, each bullet point, and I'll actually write it out. I'll actually write, you know, so one beat could be, you know, 20,000 words. Who knows? Right. But that's what my outline ends up. So my outline ends up being, you know, 40, 50,000 words. So I've already written the book. I've already written the scenes out so deeply. Like we talked about last week, it's almost like you walk into a world, the world is there already. You know, it's just the frames of the houses. It hasn't been, you know, it hasn't been dried in and there's no color yet. And so then I go in and I take the paintbrush and I color in and I frame it, you know, all that kind of stuff. So
Do
that's how
those scenes come to you though? Like when you're thinking of a story, does a random scene come here and there and you go, "Oh my gosh, I have to have that scene in there?" Or do you start with like the intro? Like how do the scenes come to you?
yeah. Normally it will be something like, you know, this is an epic scene. I don't know where it's going to fit yet, but that scene will go down and then I'll work backwards or forwards from it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I don't just pop up a bunch of different scenes. I guess I'm more linear, that I want to be in the story and let the story lead. So, and that's why I do
Mhm.
the outlining like I do, so that the story can kind of lead and build as we go out. So no, I don't like, oh, this is a great scene, got to do it. I normally don't do that. Normally I'll let it build in and then I'll be like, oh, then it'll pop in my head.
Okay.
I love that. You're so organized. And I'm going to cancel you for that because my opinion is different. So
Well, well, you know what? We're out of time, so we won't be able to hear Chelsea's opinion. So my opinion is the only one that matters. Yeah.
Oh, Team Carlisle. Just kidding. Sorry, I could
Bye.
not help it. Okay. Oh my gosh, I needed this so hardcore this week.
You have had a crazy week. You have had a
Yeah.
crazy week.
Couple of weeks. It's
Yeah.
just not been for
You
me.
deserve it.
I'm like, bro, if I've been distant, you know why.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
So you're so organized, and I say that because like I'm kind of unhinged with my naming schemes and stuff like that. But when I do names, it's kind of like I have this idea of a character who I want to be. Like, let's say for Morai, for example, I always dreamed of this character who was tough. He was the Simba version, but who didn't get that redemption, right?
Mm.
What happens when he's told that he's all this greatness, he's given everything to be successful, and destiny or the people take that away from him?
Mm.
Who does he become? Well, you know, kind of like a dark version of Simba. And I've always said that because I got the idea while watching the live action Lion King.
Sure.
So I saw his story unfold in that first like 20 minutes, and it was just like I had full body chills. Like it was warm. It was like during the lockdown, and because I had been writing, but I knew I wanted, it was like I was writing. I'd been writing for years, and then suddenly I was watching that, and I just saw this character come to life, and I was just like, what happens when the world takes it away from him, and who does he become? So that being said, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I name him? You know? And so for me, when it comes to names, it's more of a vibe. Like, you know, I wouldn't name Syra Rebecca because one, it just doesn't work at all. And it's just like the vibe. I don't know how to explain it. Okay. There's a tone, there's a vibe, there's a feeling. And so when I have characters, depending on who their personality, their character traits are, or like who are they going to become, like I lean toward these stronger names, these more feminine names, these more like haunting names, or like these really strong or like bold names, like Sakar. Like I wanted something that was slightly unique, but really strong. And like, cause he's a really devious god and he's been around for centuries and he's one of the ancients. And it's like Sakar. I was like, that just works. I'm like, it works. So yeah, you have such a very organized approach with naming, and I really don't.
Well, okay. Let me
So I
ask you
really
this
respect that.
before you go into your scene talk.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and this is influenced by Tolkien, you know, by old school
Yeah.
fantasy. Do you go deep enough into your naming where, depending on what region they're from, there may be certain endings to the name, or certain spellings or certain things like that, depending on the region they're from?
There is some of that. So there is, and it's a culture, a city that I really want to explore more, but it's the Asane city, and it's a accumulation of all these tribes, and they have very unique names.
Yeah.
So you get introduced to one of the characters in book 2, who's the leader of that tribe. I can't even remember the tribe name, but who's hunting Syra, and he has a name, but it's from the old tongue, and it translates to God. And so it's just a slight accent with the U, the way I wrote it. And so if you notice it, there's a pattern, and you start to realize, wait, if it's written this way, that means it's a translation to something of God or God of something. And so it's a very small Easter egg that I've started. And that's like Rushane, for example, which is God's soul, translates, which are ravens in the Vor world, but to the rest of the world, they're actually known as God's souls, and they're carriers of the afterlife. So but the same accent with that U is done there. And so it's just like small things like that I love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been making sure I do that too, where different regions have,
Yeah.
because it is going to be different if you have different regions, different
Yeah.
races, different different backgrounds. There may
Different
be,
tones,
yeah,
It's like even my even like Cretan, which is I call pirate country, which is one of the ancient countries, one of the first founding ones. I was very particular about the naming because I wanted it to have more of an ancient traditional feel to it.
yeah,
And that was primarily in book 3 and book 4, even when we go to Venkar City and we meet this like hidden tribe that's protecting certain, things that I don't want to spoil, that Cyrus ends up finding. It's like everybody's name is very unique, and it's just like, and it's influenced by the old tongue, which is their ancient language, but they actually have an even older version of that language that they respect and understand, that's been lost to the world.
yeah,
So yeah, I love the culture aspects of writing and
yeah,
storytelling, because you can tell so much about people, and even like the way they like connect with others, and I mean the traditions with the Venkar City people versus even when you go up into the other kingdoms in Cretan, it's like very different. And that was something, like when I wrote book 4, I was so excited because Venkar City was the first time I really got to explore what was a hidden culture, and and just have a lot of fun with like, what does it mean? These people have been holding on tradition, like tradition that's been lost to the world, and like what are their values, their traits, what are their dynamics, how do they rule, like what is this, like what do they celebrate, how are they celebrating, like
right.
all of this, so yeah, it was probably one of the coolest things I looked forward to in book 4, was just that, is just being able to explore the culture and the traditions,
Yeah.
and the naming schemes for that.
Right.
But when it comes to the scenes, it's so funny you say that about you're so organized. You're like, yeah, it's more chronological and stuff like that. I'm like, I will literally, like, when I am thinking of scenes and stuff like that, a lot in the primary saga, it's a lot more chronological just because I have an idea of where things are going. But every now and then, let's say I'm putting on a song, like, and something happens where I just have this out of body experience, and I see the scene play out in my head, and I'm just like, I don't even know how the scene's going to get in, but it has to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I will rewrite an entire freaking second half of a storyline just to have that scene in, like, just because it's such a, like, I have such a vivid and visceral response to it.
Yeah.
And because music's very powerful for me for the storytelling, it transports me. Because I think it's easy to say, like, the life day-to-days and stuff like that bog you down. Your brain kind of starts to disconnect, and it's very difficult to be like, okay, I'm working, I'm cleaning up poop off the wall, and it's like, okay, what am I doing? And
It was her poop. Her that
it
she was
was
cleaning up.
totally my
Yeah.
poop.
It was her poop, yeah.
Plot twist,
Right.
everybody.
Right.
I pooped on the
Yep.
walls.
Put
So
that in your scene.
Human fecal matter everywhere.
Yes.
I would have burned the house down.
Yeah.
I would have burned the house down and slept in the car. Like, no.
So,
No.
I haven't shared a poop story in a while. Do you guys want one?
You have
Sure.
not. You have not.
I've got one. Okay. So one night we were all the guys were over playing poker, And as
What?
one,
Hold on. I got it. One night. Was this like last night
this was
or
last
5
night.
years ago?
This was last night. No,
It was last
no,
night?
no, no, no. This was
Oh
years.
my God. I was
Yeah,
going to say
no,
the timing.
this was years ago. This was years ago. We were married, but young in our marriage. So yeah, so this was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
All the guys are over. Much booze, much fun, much poker playing. My sister makes manicotti, and so there's a bunch of booze, and then on top of the booze is manicotti, and then on top of the manicotti is obviously plenty more booze. And then, of course, there's cigar smoking and everything like that. You're just asking for a bad time, right? You're just asking for a bad time. Anyways, I feel it. Blah 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 blah. You know, I'm like up, fold. I'm out. Run to the bathroom. Turn around as one does when one sits down to poo. Turn around, drop trowel. But as I'm turning around and dropping
Oh.
trowel, it escapes me before before I hit the toilet.
Was this your house?
It was at my house, yeah. Fortunately, it was at my house. And it's one of those things where, like, you have those times where you have those farts where you're like, this could be a dangerous fart. Do I gamble? But we were playing poker, so I was into gambling, you know. And plus, I just didn't have much control of it. But you've all experienced those farts where, you know, where sometimes, yes, you may be gambling. Anyways, I let loose a fart, but the fart was not a fart, and it ended up all over the wall. All over the wall as I'm turning to sit down, just on the side of the wall. And the craziest thing about it is we had these. My wife really wanted this. It's like this paint, but it's like real thick paint. Where after you paint it, then you run this texture tool over it, and so it textures the walls.
Oh.
So we had a textured wall with like grooves and divots and, you know, designs in it. And so I had after the initial clean, then I had to take a Q-tip, and I was Q-tipping poo out of all the little grooves and textures for like hours, just trying to get it all off. There is you guys. I've got, like I told you last time. I think last time Brian was on. I've got a lot of them. I've got a lot of stories.
So I gotta know. All right. So you're going in the bathroom,
Yeah.
you're turning, and you let loose a fart. How close were you to that wall? I want to know the projection.
Oh, very close. So when you walk in the bathroom,
Like a
6
butt
inches
cheek
to a
graze?
toilet?
Like
8 inches.
Okay.
that's some projection.
It was
though.
projection.
That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
like I told you, alcohol, manicotti, alcohol, cigars,
So
alcohol.
the GIF you sent us this morning.
It was roughly that. Yeah, roughly that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't even okay, so Micah and Brian already know, but I came home last night with the family after going out, and we found a catastrophic explosive diarrhea moment out. Like, I wish it was such a meme, the poop on the wall. Like, I wish I would have been more in tuned, because I would have totally taken a photo.
This
and
was
just
one of
been
her.
like,
This was one of her
her
pups.
dogs.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. This is he's totally fine. So that's the crazy part, is like, we don't know what the heck happened, but he's totally fine. Yeah. So it was just like, and then we're cleaning, gloved up, masked on, full bellies of pizza, because that is what one do. You're gagging. You're like, please don't throw up pizza all over the place, because that's even worse at this point. I hate throwing up, so I'm like, please don't. This will end me. Like, I will be out for the next week. And we're trying to get the poop off the wall, and it's like we're just running up, holding our breaths, wiping, running back,
That's
because the
hilarious.
stairwell was blocking in the air so bad. It was rancid, and it was unreal. And so we come upstairs finally for air, literally, and we go upstairs, and our other youngest runs around the patio and is covered in poop, and we're like, what just happened? Well, Coda, not thinking, he's like, I'm fine. What are you guys freaking out about? Body slams Aspen into his own poop while playing. And so at 8:30 at night, after an hour and a half of cleaning, we're giving baths while the daylight is still there, because we're like, bro, ain't nobody going to bed like this.
Right.
Like,
No, no.
no. And they're like so wired. They're playing. They're like, what's the problem, dude? Like, we're having fun. I'm like, y'all are covered in poop. Like, what is
Freaking
going on?
hilarious.
Yeah, so it's there's been a lot of poop.
I do have to ask, there was no carpet involved, was there?
There was carpet.
Oh.
It was, we have a carpet cleaner. Thank God we have a carpet cleaner, like a hardcore carpet cleaner. I had, so you guys know Balto. Like, Balto had, he would have some of the worst throw up you've ever had. Like, there was, his gut was not happy with the environment. And so we ended up getting a carpet cleaner because when he was really young, he had explosive diarrhea, which is a long story with, like, the owners weren't honest with me about the diet his mom was on. And so when we got introduced him to kibble, it was like a full 3-month thing. So yeah, it was like, okay. So anyways, that being said, fast forward, there were a lot of justification for the carpet cleaner, hardcore one. And so we had that, and thank God we had that, because ain't nobody getting in there. But the thing is, in the stairway, we had to get on our hands and knees with a brush because the side of the wall, it went down into the creases. And it's just like, bro,
dude, it's perfect. It's a great poo story, and that's what we're all about, y'all. We're all about
poo stories.
You know what you need? You need the meme of somebody burning down the house because they saw a spider.
Bro, that was last night.
Yeah.
Like, and then freaking Micah sends the poop gif, and I just lost it. Like, I just started manic laughing, and people are like, are you dead? Like, are you okay? My family? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. This is like unreal. Like, I'm cleaning poop off a wall. Like, what is happening? Like,
and it wasn't even your own poop.
No, but it's so bad. So he's laying here and he's totally fine. And we were playing this morning.
And
he's like,
clean.
I don't know what the problem is.
He's all clean.
And he's clean.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now after that, brief respite from serious talk, your outlining process.
Well, you just want me to say it's you.
No, your scene development, and you were on your scene development.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Poop took over.
You were about halfway through talking about your scene development, so I apologize. I apologize that I interrupted you there.
Derailed the poop for the poop stories are pretty awesome. So, and I will never ever unsee you turning and pooping across the wall. Yeah. So thank you for that.
I mean, I have a wide screen. I can demonstrate, just like the.
Please do.
Maybe next time. Next time.
Some candy bars you can utilize.
Like, subscribe. If we get 500 subscribers from this video, I will demonstrate next week.
Oh my goodness! I will drive down to help you demonstrate.
Dude, I would bribe out. Yep. I would be like, "Who wants this?"
Yeah, I will call my sister. I will have her make manicotti, and I will drink all day, and then I will show you exactly how it happened.
Now, not that I don't want you guys to get 500 subscribers, but what is wrong with all of you people?
Right.
You don't want to see this.
You do want to see it. You 100% want to see it. I'll even shave my butt.
Oh my God.
That's so thoughtful.
Yeah, I'll even shave my butt so it's nice and clean for you.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. I really do.
It's for you. It's not for anybody else.
Right. No. Right. Let's be honest. It's for me. It's for me.
It's for you.
Yeah. I like a smooth. I like a smooth butt.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Yeah, gotta have it.
I just keep thinking of a full moon.
Yeah. Well, I'll do that too. 1,000 subscribers. I'll do that too.
That's so freaking glorious. Please, everybody, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just freaking do it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else we want to jam on before we call it?
No, but I think awesome. I appreciate what you guys said about that stuff because
about the poop.
About poop?
Of course, about the poop.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
No, for the naming and the outline or the scene development, because I've only done, as we discussed in the last time I was on, is short stories. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to work on doing an actual novel-sized story, but a lot of my problem lies in learning how to plan out a scene, or I'll start writing and I'm very much linear. I want to start at the beginning and go all the way to the end. I don't want to write a scene and be like, oh, this might go towards the tail end of the first act, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe I do need to spend the $400, get Micah Campbell's seal of approval, outlining papers, and go that route.
Can I tell you a secret?
Huh?
Yes, I do. I do want everyone's $400 for this program, but I have completely described the program on the podcast. So there's
I have the outline. I have it.
Yeah. So
I just have to utilize it. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah, you can definitely get all the information you need just by watching the last, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 episodes. But once you have all the information, you have to pay me before you can use it. I give it to you for free, but you have to get a license to use it, and that license costs $399.
$399 before tax.
Before tax, right? Yeah.
It's fun. Like I really do stress the experimenting with the outlining, because I mean I've said it before, like I was very much a discovery writer, especially in the early stages of the saga, and there was like I would do the same thing where it was like I would be listening to music and I would have the scene in my head and I'd be like, this is the scene. Like the ending of The Mark of the Damned with Morai massacring his citizens because he snaps because they keep turning on him. Like I remember vividly driving down to Denver and having music playing, and I saw this scene in my head and I was like, that is the end. That is, so everything that happens in his storyline in book 2 has to lead up to that. And so that's where the planning went into it. And so it's like but I didn't really outline, and mind you, it was a fun scene. I know where, like, having outlined book 4 and going into further outlining the rest of the saga, it's like you really can take time to have fun with the fluidity of the story evolvement and the changes, and go, okay, like for me, music is a big storyteller. Like, I don't know what about you, Brian, I don't know where you get your inspiration from, but like embrace that, but then don't be afraid to have fun and be like, oh, let me outline a little bit and see, like, where does this idea go, like, because I've had ideas from music and I go, okay, it's not going to work in this story, I'm going to pack this up and hold on to it, or I have, I listen to something and I just have this like overall arching idea where I go, I want this to happen. And I don't know what yet, I don't know how yet, but I want this overall, I want this character to end up doing this, and to stand for that. And so it's like, I think the big thing is there's a lot of authors out there, and I know we're going to say it, there's a lot of authors out there, Mike and I have talked about this, that say this is the right way and it's the only way. You should follow my way.
Right.
And it's like, I highly disagree with that. I think story planning is very fluid. And I think I think you would be doing yourself a disservice by like not experimenting with different things or combining different methods, right? If you are a discovery writer, have fun with that and embrace it. And then if you want to try the outlining, have fun with that and be like, okay, where can I fit some of that discovery writing and like have these ideas jotted down so that it feels more organized, so I can kind of start to plan for that full scale novel and be like, okay, wow, even if you have just beats, right? Like if you have a beginning, middle, and end, break that up on a giant piece of paper and just be like, okay, what do I want to happen in between that? Or is there something that's driving us to the middle that's going to change, and that change is going to drive us from the middle to the end? Okay. Like if you are a discovery writer, but you want to do outlining, because I am, like, for me, I'm definitely a discovery writer, but I'm learning the benefits of blending the planning a bit more, because you can have a lot more fun with those characters and the plot and the scene and things like that. So it's like, I'm a big believer in experimenting and just have fun. Nothing, you don't have to do you don't have to plan or structure one specific way because, somebody on the internet said this is the only way. Like I know,
except my way, and my way is the only way.
Like I know a lot of authors, like, and that's not even attacking authors. Like I know authors want to help and they say, okay, do it this way. Like even the webinars, authors are like, write this way, and like, you should do it this way. This is how you develop your characters. And I know from deep down, maybe a lot of those are feeling like they're helping. And for some up and coming storytellers or, authors, it's like it can really help. But I'm a big believer in experimenting and understanding that everybody has a method to their madness. And it's like, and embrace that and hone in what makes your madness work for you. And it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, I feel like it might just it's something I can try to see if the outlining benefits me in any way.
Yeah.
I think I'm just really nervous to have to sit down and try to do it because I'm so used
Don't be.
And so what? And for anybody who has never heard us talk about this before, when we talk about like the outlining that I do, that it's not the outlining that you learn in school. It's not academic outlining. It's simply, and you can do it on a voice recorder, on some kind of dictation, so you can see your words pop up on the screen. You can do it that way, but it's actually telling the story. Tell the story in full before you start writing the story. That's what I'm talking about. So once you walk in with your paintbrush into this black and white world, there is still a world. It's already there. The story's already been told. Now you can go in and you can color it in and you can do that kind of thing. So it's not an academic outline. It's pre-telling the story, and that's where you can get your discovery writing in and your pantsing in and all that. But you're not stuck at a point where like, oh, I don't know what happens next. And you get this like, and I don't believe in writer's block, but you get this writer's blocker, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't
I
get
don't
that.
believe in it either.
Yeah, because it's there. It's already there. So you tell yourself the whole story. Just sit down and tell yourself the whole story.
And do it in your beats. Like Micah, like I know your outlines are way more intense than mine would ever be.
Yeah.
Like you break stuff down like to the sliver. And for my writing style, I can't break down things to the absolute details, because the discovery writer in me still very much loves to get into a scene and see how the characters react, even if I have a point A, point B, point C.
Right.
But what's happening in between those points. And that's where I do not outline those points because I don't know until I'm in the scene.
Yeah.
Right. But it works for me.
Right.
And the outlining just gives me a lot more structure to follow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Micah's got the crazy outline. He's like emperor status. And it's like, don't feel pressured to do that because you have to find your madness.
Right. And Chelsea, you're hitting a point that it's similar with me. I won't know what's happening until I start writing because I will have the idea in my head. I'll start writing it. And as I write, the rest of it flows in and I just start going. But again, I have only written short stories and I'm like, is this why I can't write anything longer? So again, I will try and outline, see if it works. On the disc.
I was going to say, I have an idea.
Okay. What?
Give yourself, you're extremely talented with the short stories. You've proven that. You're very talented. So for example, the story you did for the anthology, you have this intro. You could consider that the intro, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what if you wrote a short story of a middle scene with him?
Okay.
And then you wrote and made it 500 words. Just start with something like at 12,000 words or something like that. Mm-hmm. And do the same thing where it's 500 words, but consider it the middle portion. Where is he now? What's happening in the university? And then end on another cliffhanger and then write an end scene that for a little further down, that's 500 words as well. And now you'll have a start, middle, and end. And then you can kind of start to have fun with, what would I do if I filled that in?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. What would marry these stories?
I like that. That's a good idea.
And something I was thinking is, could you ever wrap your brain around or make yourself think of every chapter or every scene, in between the scene breaks, every scene in a chapter as a short story?
That's what I've started to try to tell myself is, look, that's all a chapter is. It's a short story.
Right.
And then when you put it together, it makes one larger story. It's just doing it. I have to start it.
Yeah.
And you all have that same feeling. It's getting started and knowing. The worst part is when you get that idea and you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And you start jotting it down. And then, like you said, there's no such thing as writer block. I think it's your hands are full with all the groceries and you can't reach the doorknob.
Right.
But eventually you get that doorknob open and then you can go in.
Right.
You get to that point and you're just like, all right, I'm walking away. And then you come back to it like 2 weeks later and go, what was I doing? Where was I? And then
now let's interrupt there. let's interrupt there because Chelsea is the one who actually got me back on track in actually writing the Stinging Blade, because I used to
Oh,
do the
you're
same
lucky.
thing. Yeah, I used to do the same thing. I would sit down and I would write. Maybe I'd bang out 1,000 words. Maybe I'd bang out 8,000 words. And I'd write, and then I would, because of life, because of the groceries, I would walk away for 2 or 3 weeks. Then I'd come back. I'd have to reread what I'd written, and then I'd have to, dude. This is the one thing, and Chelsea hit on the head. Writing doesn't work the same for everyone. You have to find your deal. Not one way is always correct. I will say that this is probably a must. I'm not a hard stance on it, but it has to be a must. Write every day. That changed my life, right? And you always hear it, write every day, but I wasn't writing every day. And so and then I'd have to go back and things would change, and I wasn't in the same stream, right? I wasn't in the same stream as I was before. It had taken a left. Now I'm on a different stream. But if you write every day, man, you're in that same stream, everything is right there. Yeah. So
Apply yourself creatively. Like, even if it's like sitting down with the same story and continuing to outline or flesh out things, like being in that world mentally, like, because it's like I wish Micah, like, I wish we can remember, like, there was a term we used, maybe it's like the creative muscle or something like that, but it's like you're working that creative muscle, and it's like, even if you're not typing, but like applying yourself to that world every day, so that you're building up the endurance, for the creative muscle, and it allows you to always be in that world or that project.
Well, yeah, like back when I was lifting, I would never miss a day in the gym, and that was a total taboo. If you missed a day in the gym, let alone a week or two, can you imagine what you would lose in a week or two of not being in the gym?
What is it, like 1.5% of body mass?
Right. I mean, ridiculous. Your endurance is gone. Your strength is gone. Your mass is gone. Everything's gone. So that it works the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the
I
gym,
agree.
if you're in the gym every day, you're constant. You're not hitting chest every day. You're not hitting legs every day. You're hitting different parts of the body, but you're there.
Right.
And you're still progressing every day, and you're in that stream. If you take 2 weeks off, bro, you may not go back to the gym for 3 years. That's just how it is.
True story.
Yeah,
this guy.
Right. This guy too, and that's what happened. That's what happened to me with Iliadara's story. Started writing it way back then. Took days off, and then those days off turned into 23 years.
Yeah, but in those 23 years, you had life.
Correct.
Happening. You had things going on, which,
it happens, right?
Yeah.
But just try to keep that mindset of, you have to be in that stream. If you take that time away, it's going to hinder, when you come back. Yeah.
I think one of my things that I need to try and do is, like you said, do it every day. But my problem is up until still right this moment, I've only ever written on a computer.
Yeah.
Never done it in a notebook. I never thought that, I feel like, if I sit there and write, you pause more because you think as you're writing.
Right.
And I can't get my thoughts out as fast as I would like, and then I might miss something.
Yeah.
But like I had said on our chat, I've been journaling nonstop.
Yeah.
It's just another form. So I want to try and grab a notebook and just sit there and, like Chelsea said, every day, just write a little bit. Even if it's a couple words, 30, 40 words, 2 sentences, whatever. At least it's something, and then collectively it could build up. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
You're rewiring your brain doing that. Think of storytelling, like everything you do, like whether it's making coffee or writing or whatever, it's a skill, and it takes time to perfect. And it's like you're constantly honing and evolving that craft. And it's just like, and that's what that process is. It's like putting time every single day, even if it's just a few words or an idea or a quote, like a dialogue quote you think in your head and you go, oh my gosh, what if my character said that? Get that down.
Right.
Because it's like you're rewarding your brain and saying, yes, I'm in this mindset. The neurons are rewiring. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And I'm really embracing that creative storytelling side, that creative muscle, and I'm working it. And so it's like, I'm a firm believer in applying it every single day, because you wouldn't, like, if you started to learn a new language, you wouldn't just walk away and like take 3, 4, 5 days off, especially when you're new. It's like, my gosh, like I stepped away from German for freaking like months, and if you asked me to pick up right now, I would be dreadful about it because I was so advanced, getting really advanced in it, and then I just stopped. And that was just because I jumped back into Spanish because I used to speak it, and I was like, oh, I'll just go back over here, and now I'm not even, don't even ask me. Yep. Except when I randomly say Vater, I'm like, oh right, yeah, that's gonna make sense. But it's like if I and I'm gonna jump off Micah here, it's like last year I really failed in jump off Micah.
Right.
like last year I really failed myself in applying my creative muscle. And despite having written for years, it was just like it really hindered me. I really struggled with getting back into the Varelian world, reconnecting with the characters. I took so much time away from just being creative, whether it was jotting ideas down, outlining, whatever. And so getting into book 4, I had made a commitment to myself, like, get book 4 out and give yourself a dream for this 2025. And that dream was essentially give yourself time every single day to think about, even just think about the world. And it has been life-changing for me. This year has been the most creatively rewarding year of my life because I've given myself that kindness and that leniency to apply that creative muscle, whether it's jotting ideas down, like we were talking about, whether it's writing, whether it's outlining, even editing. Despite how maddening it is, I'm still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's life-changing for me. I've never spent so much time every single day or even in a week on my creative muscle as I have this year. Well, and so it's powerful.
And it shows too, because think about it. You brought a book out in April. You've got
somewhere on there.
Book coming out in December, and you're ahead of the game on both of those when you were getting what you were claiming as your deadlines. You were meeting some of those deadlines, and then on some of the other deadlines, you were doing it a little in advance. So it's working. I mean,
it's a creative muscle. Yeah. It takes time to build that endurance and that strength. And so it's like, I highly recommend, like you said it, get that notebook and just write down and just get ideas down. Like, give yourself that kindness and that leniency to apply that craft and to work that muscle. And it's like, don't get frustrated with yourself. Don't I know we're such impatient people. Like, we, as a people, like, we want that result, right? It's like, do I have to why can't I do it this way immediately this way? It takes time. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of time. And so it's just, be kind to yourself. That's what I have to say.
Yeah. Sure, Rabbit.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
All right. So that's it. Let's wrap it there. I have been Brian Emmerin, Chelsea Campbell. Anyone else? No, nobody else.
Be sure that if you enjoyed this show and you want to see further shows, be sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to join our Discord if you're interested in writing.
Yes, you should.
And there's a bell, right? There's a bell? Ding?
Yes, somewhere.
Yes. Ding the bell. Somewhere. Ding the bell. And also, I have a wonderful course that definitely has not been. It's not a course, and we've just talked about it. But if you want to give me $399, that'd be great. Again, or
just buy his book.
Yeah,
buy his book.
I take Venmo, OnlyFans, Cash App, whatever you got. I'll take whatever. Yep. Chelsea,
beautiful.
Do you want to tell the people who you were or anything or bye?